I feel the liftoff. The clock has started. Roger.
Greetings and felicitations, my perceptive purple people, and thank you for honoring me with your presence yet again. Today, we're going to be discussing a little more about the political attractions of engaging and hurting asteroids here to Earth orbit for us to use. Rightio, first off the bat, for our deep red America First type brothers and sisters out there. How's this for showing how great and powerful America is? The extremely visible sign of technological capability of an artificially installed moonlet seen every single night by every person on this entire planet. Hey, we're not above a little informational tech flex propaganda for the USA on occasion. It's good for the country's morale. This also breaks the political grip of other countries on strategic minerals and rare earths, especially for space use. Right now, we have to deal with several countries that we might rather not wish to in order to be able to get our fix of technologically necessary rare earth materials. Having our own asteroid source in orbit reverses that distasteful power dynamic and returns us to the catbird seat in international discussions again. Before we move on from this, I would like to point out just a few factoids. Did you know that the largest world supplier of the following ores from A to Z? Aluminum, bismuth, gold, mercury, silicon, tin, titanium, vanadium, zinc, to name only a few, is China. They're even third in iron ore production. We're down at number 9. And number 1 in pig iron production. Russia has a few on us as well, including diamonds, by the way, which are very common in asteroids. Just saying. Okay, this is one related to the business aspects of this project, but having our own huge source of critical materials, like I just described, that are now coming from other countries needed for space exploration already in orbit, reduces the cost of those materials by a huge margin, making international business and supply deals possible, with many likely positive political results as well. It would also give a permanent platform with enough room and resources for immediate international cooperative projects with potential for further future efforts with our allies. We're not talking about the militarization of space here, merely business and scientific cooperations, so don't get too worried on that front. Although it might be a good idea for the U.S. Space Force to have a low-gravity training facility, internationally shareable with our allies, of course. That additional facility must be maintained for training and immediate self-defense purposes only. Again, we aren't trying to up anything military here. We want to keep our agreement for the peaceful use of space by all countries. We'll just lead the way, thank you very much. This also sets up the USA to be in the primary seat in creating policy for space use in the future. For this to occur, we must be dominant in the overall utilization and exploration of space. If we lose this dominance, we lose the preeminent position and its associated benefits. Getting it back would be problematic. Now, for a thought that nobody seemed to be thinking of since the first time we sent people up, seems we managed to entangle ourselves in an international legal agreement that will need some reconsidering. We'll start with the United Nations 1967 Outer Space Agreement. Although there is certainly much to laud of this product of the Cold War detente in the UN prior to the launching of the very first space satellites, it remains a product of said times and needs reevaluations badly. Seriously, 1967. Yes. We have some new ones, but nothing that seems to really counteract the same basic theme here. I do want to investigate this part further, so your guidance is welcome here. The key points are the apparent incapability to claim ownership over anything in space. This, once again, is an extremist position without consideration of the future beyond the crisis of that time. Now, I am by no means suggesting that any country should be able to claim an entire celestial body such as our moon or a planet. But we're talking rocks here, people. Rocks. This clearly needs to be reevaluated. Also along these lines is going to be an idea that's Some might find a little controversial, but let me finish before you start thinking I'm going all space hawk here. As I suggested before, we should establish a military base on the largest final captured asteroid of this project for international training. No, I'm not suggesting a military claim on a rock. What I am suggesting would be a joint base, operated under the auspices of our Space Force, for the use of all non-hostile nations of the world to share for explorations along these pathways for planetary defense, not for fighting amongst ourselves. Since it's just a rock and not a more significant celestial body, it's not like we're trying to claim the moon or some such silliness. Obviously, I'm against any WMDs or militarization of space, but some cooperative efforts in this area might behoove us all. Speaking of WMDs, the only time that I could think of for a reasonable person to place any WMD in space would be to counter a global threat from outside our little system. As the only threat of such a nature I could think of would be possible, and dare I say safer to mitigate, with the use of a mass of large asteroids already in orbit, I don't think we need the WMDs up there after all, do we? No changes there. Enough said. There are more, of course, but this partial listing gives you a taste of the possibilities. I have no doubt that I missed more than a few. Dozen. Let me know where you think I screwed up below. We'll talk about a very few of the scientific possibilities in the next segment. Join us again, won't you please?